I'm very glad to hear, to see that the reconstruction of Juba International Airport, the project, has passed the budget from the cabinet by South Sudan side for terminal building, and for Chinese side, we got ready to provide all documents from China Exim Bank, provide all documents to South Sudan side.
China has committed itself to reconstruct the Juba International Airport. Leila Osman, SSTV News.
The Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Michael Makwilu, says the government of South Sudan will protect foreign investors who have put in their money into the country's economy to spur development of this nation. Makwi said South Sudan is a blessed land with vast resources which, if well harnessed, will turn around the economy of the country. The minister said he will focus his energy in improving media institutions in the country with emphasis on South Sudan Radio and Television and the South Sudan News Agency, including the Public Information Center. The EU Special Envoy to South Sudan and Sudan, Rosalind Marsden, is urging Juba and Khartoum to take the proposal presented by Thabo Mbeki very serious to allow peace and stability in Abyei. Marsden said it is important that the issue of Abyei is sorted out once and for all. Abyei referendum was scheduled to take place this October, but voter registration and the setting up of Abyei Commission and the administration are not yet to be put in place. The envoy made the remarks after meeting Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Barnaba Marial Benjamin in his office. The minister also held talks with the Indonesian ambassador to South Sudan, Dr. Sujit Miko. The talks focus on how the two countries can establish diplomatic relations in order to enhance bilateral cooperation.
Proposal by the AU High-Level Implementation Panel to try to reach agreement on the final status of Abyei. We reiterate the importance for the residents of Abyei to be able to determine their own future, and also continued access for the migratory populations. So we discussed that on the question of Jonglei. We said that we've been following the situation there very closely and with considerable concern, but we've been encouraged by the improvement in the security situation in the last couple of months, and also by the expansion of humanitarian access. And we very much hope that it would be possible for the government to continue to seek a political solution to the issue. The European Union, I explained, stands ready to see what support we could provide for recovery and development in Jonglei once stability in the area is restored.
A delegation from the African National Congress Party, ANC, the ruling party in South Africa, is in Juba for meeting with the country's ruling SPLM party. The team led by the ANC Vice President Cyril Ramaphosa, which arrived in the country this morning, was received at Juba International Airport by the SPLM Deputy Secretary General Dr. Anne Ito. The team's visit is to compare notes on and see areas of cooperation and how to build strong political forces based on the aspirations of the people who are the pillars of any political movement.
A delegation from the African National Congress, the ruling party in South Africa, has arrived in the country for a meeting with SPLM counterparts. The team led by the ANC Vice President Cyril Ramaphosa jetted in this morning and was received at Juba International Airport by the SPLM Deputy Secretary General Dr. Anne Ito. According to Ito, the team's visit is to compare notes and see areas of mutual cooperation and how to build strong political movements based on the aspiration of the people who are the pillars of any political movement. The two parties, drawn from similar comparisons, have embedded the struggle for independence and attained self-determination of the two countries.
It's very important to us that they are here today because between SPLM and ANC, we have been brothers and sisters for a very long time. They've seen us through the struggle, through the implementation of the CPA, and through independence, and the relationship is only getting stronger. What we did about 5 years ago to cement this relationship was to sign an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, that is meant to benefit the two parties. There are about 5 very important objectives that we are following through this MOU. One of them is to empower SPLM and ANC so that they can better take care of their policies and provide leadership in building their nation. The second thing is working together to empower and develop women and youth. And the third is building solidarity across the region.
Ramaphosa said ANC and SPLM are bonded by historical roots of struggle, vowing that South African government will continue supporting South Sudan nurture its democracy.
And that our relationship is still strong and in fact is getting stronger. We're here to extend that collaboration, to act on the MOU that was signed, to make sure that our parties that are now in government are able to continue supporting each other with a view of benefiting the people of South Sudan as well as the people of South Africa.
Basing on their success for having galvanized the citizens of the two nations much in the same direction, SPLM and ANC are aiming at broadening their political relations for the prosperity of not only the two countries, but the entire continent of Africa. Reporting for SS7 News, this is Ediri Stephen.
The Ministry of Health has successfully managed to contain the spread of polio and measles outbreaks that were reported in the country last week. The Undersecretary in the Ministry, Dr. Makur Koryom, said the swift response by the Ministry saw the two deadly diseases brought under control within the focal areas. Koryom, however, said vaccination against polio will still have to continue throughout the country.
The Ministry of Health now says it has successfully managed to contain the spread of polio and measles outbreaks that were reported in the country last week. The Undersecretary in the Ministry, Dr. Makur Koryom, said the swift response by the Ministry saw the two deadly diseases brought under control within the reported areas. Koryom, however, said vaccination against polio will still have to continue throughout the country, calling on the country to ensure that all children below the age of 5 get polio jab.
So the outbreak of last week were only 3 cases, and up to now there are still 3. 2 cases in a Will South County in northern Baragazal, and 1 case in Iquitos County in eastern Equatoria. These involve children between 2 and 8 years old. The 2 of northern Baragazal were 2 girls. 1 was 2, the other one was 8. The one of Iquitos is also a young girl of 2 years old. There has not been any case reported so far up to now. Today, the team that we dispatched that went to Iquitos just came back this morning with very assuring news. There has not been another case, and even the affected child herself is in good condition.
He said it was unfortunate that the 3 polio cases were reported only before the country was declared polio-free, but promised that the country is on track to attain the polio-free status.
At the time when we were getting ready to be declared as polio-free by 2015. But the outbreak that happened last week in South Sudan cannot be taken in isolation from what is happening in the region. In June, you must have heard about a case that was reported in Somalia, and a few weeks later, the case was reported in Kenya. So when we had the news last week, we quickly formed the teams and we reactivated our emergency task force to identify the cases, detect them, take samples for confirmation and also for sequencing, because sequencing here tells us exactly where is the virus coming from. Is it our own or is it coming across the border?
On the measles cases, the ministry said it is still waiting for genetic sequence to determine the origin of disease, warning that the only way to defeat measles is by immunization.
And actually the worst outbreak that we know in South Sudan was between 2008 and 2009, when about 64 children were affected. And then the last, as I said, was in June 2009 in northern Bahr el Ghazal. Since then, we have not had any case of poliomyelitis. And as I said earlier, it's a disease caused by virus which affects the nerves and therefore...
Symptoms of measles include high fever, running nose, bloodshot eyes, and white spots on the inside of the mouth, saying in malnourished children, measles can cause complications such as blindness, severe diarrhea, pneumonia, among others. He urged the parents with children below 5 should cooperate and ensure that all their children are immunized. Jackie Darrow, SSTV.
South Sudan does not have disaster management policy, something that has made it hard to respond to natural calamities on time. The chairperson of Relief and Rehabilitation Commission, Peter Lam, says the country, as a matter of urgency, must put in the policy which will guide how the national government can work with other stakeholders to mitigate such disasters when they strike.
Months ago, the country witnessed flooding on unprecedented level. Reports from the government put the figures of those who were displaced to about 200,000, with property of unknown value being swept away. The situation then forced the cabinet to put in place a task force to seek a solution on how to assist the victims that were spread in almost the 10 states of South Sudan.
Today we are launching a third meeting on the disaster risk reduction program. On behalf of the Ministry for Gender, Child, Social Welfare and Humanitarian Disaster Management, as well as the Relief and Rehabilitation Commission, I want to congratulate our staff members who are working on the disaster reduction policy. The country does not have a disaster risk management reduction policy, and we believe that by developing this policy, we will be able to mitigate the causes of disaster in the country.
The response, however, was reactive, and now the chairperson of the Relief and Rehabilitation Commission, Peter Lam, says programs targeting the victims would have been more prompt had there been a policy guiding disaster management in the country. Lam now says, as a matter of urgency, the country should put in place disaster management policy that will guide how the government and stakeholders coordinate in response to natural calamities.
The floods, the drought, all types of animal diseases that happen during the flood time. So it is our hope that all government sectors will participate in these discussions. The discussions of today is comprised of different ministries, different partners in terms of development and humanitarian response. And it is our hope that the states of the Republic of South Sudan will participate so that their input is acquired.
Lam was speaking at a meeting on disaster management. James Harusatanga, SSTV.
The Chief Administrator in the Office of the President, Mayen Wall, today held talks with the Chairperson of the National Electoral Commission, Professor Abednego Akok. The meeting centered on challenges facing the Commission, including the structural setup of the Commission and the ongoing recruitment of the Secretary General and the election calendar. According to Professor Akok, the Commission is seeking the support of the head of state to discharge its mandate. The chairperson also called on the media to sensitize the people of South Sudan on the forthcoming general election.
Mainly in terms of the structures and the establishment of the commission. As you all know, the commission is new, and we are preparing these days to recruit the Secretary General. Advertisement has been made, and it is good that you came on air, and I thought to brief them on this. And at the same time, it is good for the public to hear that advertisement has been made for competent people who wanted to come and work in the commission so they can compete following the public service regulation. Another concern is to see to it that the commission needs assistance from the palace and from the government so that it becomes more stronger.
The presidential advisor on special affairs, Joseph Lagu, is urging the citizens to focus on developing the country and keep off negative ethnicity. Lagu has been in the U.S. for the last 6 months, where he had gone for treatment on diabetes and kidney complications. He said his health has improved dramatically and is ready to resume work. This and more news stories in the News Roundup.
Advisor on special affairs, Joseph Lagu, is calling on citizens to focus on developing the country and keep off from negative ethnicity. Lagu has been in the U.S. for the last 6 months, where he has gone for treatment on diabetes and kidney complications. He says his health has improved dramatically and is ready to resume work. Elsewhere, the governor of Western Barghazal State, Rizik Zakaria Hassan, is in Juba for a meeting with the head of the state and other government officials on development programs in the area. Speaking at Juba International Airport, Zakaria said the situation in the state is calm and floods that has swept through the state has subsiding.
Consultative meetings of South Sudan Police services, which will take place on the 10th of this month, which means after 2 days. And also in my presence here, I will meet with the leadership of the Republic so that I brief the President and the ministers about the current development in the states. And also I want to follow up the pledges which the President made in the state during his last visit, which are quite encouraging, and even it made a lot of developmental progress.
While the Warrap State Minister of Information, Nyanagwa Kwal, made a visit to Abia to assess the situation of those returning to the Abia in readiness for the forthcoming referendum. Nyanagwa said the returnees are in urgent need of medical supplies, food, shelters, and clean drinking water. She appealed to the national government and humanitarian organizations to support the returnees.
أكثر من 2500 نازح عادوا للمنطقة مع البرنامج بتاع العودة الطوعية من أجل الاستفتاء. فنحن شفنا ظروف ما بطالة خالص من ناحية بتاع المعيشة بتاع المواطنين، ولكن برضو في challenges، يعني في تحديات موجودة في المنطقة، زي الناس ما عندها نواميس مثلا، ما في ما في مشاكل بتاع الخيم، واكثر شيء كمان مويه ما في، بالذات مويه بتاع المضخات على حسب الضغط السكاني اللي ارتفع. فكان يعني من ضمن التحديات انا لاحظتها، لكن في التحدي الاكبر بالنسبه للمواطنين العائدين، لانه نحن في زي ما نحن شايفين الحكومه عندها برنامج بتاع العوده الطوعيه في الولايات ال10.
While the Warrap State Minister of Agriculture, Majok Bolkur, undertook a visit to Gogorial West County and Twitch County to assess the crops that were damaged by heavy rains and floods, the minister also visited the farm of the First Lady at Gabakir, which was washed away by floods.
In Warrap, we experienced in the beginning the rains, and then somewhere there was a drought. And the drought has actually gone a spell of about 1 month and 15 days. When our people again cultivated, this is the second crop, When they cultivate it again now, we experience the flooding. So all this area, which is on the eastern side of the road when you are coming out from Kwajok, it has been affected all until Gogrial, and the Gogrial town is also submerged in water. And
meanwhile, the Deputy Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Mary Jarfes, today met the Kenyan ambassador to South Sudan, Les Hori, on how Kenyan investors can be joined in the planning investment conference to take place in December. The two also discussed ways of avoiding double taxation on Kenya goods accessing the country.
The Kenyan investors, a number of them have shown interest to come and participate in this conference. So basically the discussion centered on the framework under which Kenyan investors are going to participate in the conference. And we have been briefed by the chairperson of the steering committee, who is also the Deputy Minister for Finance. And from there on, a number of Kenyan companies, I'm sure, will participate in this conference.
While a delegation from the United National Development Programs led by George Conway today undertook a tour of police training center at Rajab West. The team was met by the Assistant Inspector General of Police for Training, Major General Jackson Elia. The team was on a mission to assess the facility on how UNDP can support the institution.
In country to work with our country office to monitor some of the programs that UNDP is doing in cooperation with the government of the Republic of South Sudan. Today, we're visiting the Rajaf Police Training Center to look at the progress in the center, to see what results have been achieved from our partnership and collaboration. I'm very pleased to see the progress that's happened in the site, both in terms of the development of the physical buildings, but also in terms of the quality of the curriculum that's being communicated to the new trainees. So I'd like to say congratulations to the government of South Sudan and to the South Sudan Police Service for the good work, and we look forward to a continued productive relationship between UNDP to support the capacity building of the police service in South Sudan.
For SSTV News in Juba, this is Henry Jada John reporting.
We have come to the end of our English bulletin, wishing you all the best for the week.
SSTV, truly African. SSTV, truly African.
بعد طول انتظار من المسؤولين في مقدمتهم سفير جمهورية جنوب السودان بأوغندا السيد صامويل لواتي ووزير المواصلات الأوغندي أبرام بندالا، حطت طائرة ساوث سوبريم إيرلاين بمطار عنتبي معلنة عن تدشين أولى رحلاتها لدول شرق إفريقيا والعالم. بدأوا الاحتفال والذي شهده عدد كبير من مواطني جنوب السودان المقيمين بدولة يوغندا. السيد أبراهام بندالة وزير المواصلات الأوغندي تحدث عن العلاقات الأزلية بين جنوب السودان وأوغندا، داعيا للمزيد من التعاون في كافة المجالات الاقتصادية بين البلدين.
I'm reliably informed that the airline plans to start with 3 flights, scheduled flights per week, with the short-term plans of increasing the flight frequency to daily. This is worth clapping about, as it will eventually contribute to immense growth, not only in terms of passenger flights, but also cargo traffic. I wish to reiterate government's commitment to supporting initiatives aimed at providing various options to facilitate travel in and out of this country. We are increasingly modernizing Entebbe International Airport in order to meet future demands of the airlines like South Supreme Airline and other existing operators. South Sudan and Uganda have over the years enjoyed a brotherly, cordial and mutually beneficial relationship that I believe is going to be enhanced by the airlines established by South Supreme Airlines. On behalf of the government and the people of Uganda, and on my own behalf, as the aeronautical authority, I wish to congratulate South Supreme Airlines for expanding its business to Entebbe International Airport.
سفير جمهورية جنوب السودان بيوغندا السيد سامويل لواتي أكد أن مثل هذه المبادرات تعمل على دعم اقتصاد البلدين، معتبرا أن هذا اليوم من أهم الأيام في تاريخ شعبي البلدين.
Well, thank you. I would like to thank you very much, the South Sudan TV, for coming. And I would like also to congratulate the South Sudan Spring Airline for coming to Uganda. This is the dream that we have worked together with the airlines to make sure that the South Spring Airline comes to Uganda. Today is a great day for us. Today is another mileage to cement our relationship between Uganda and South Sudan. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on, that this relationship has been there for quite a long time, for decades. And the coming of this airline to Uganda has clearly demonstrated that the continuation of the relationship with Uganda will ever continue.
السيد أيد دوان أي رئيس مجلس الإدارة شركة ساوث سوبريم إيرلاين أكد أن الشركة ماضية في توفير خدمات لكافة أبناء جنوب السودان أينما وجدوا، مشيرا إلى أن الشركة ساوث إيرلاين ستفتح قريبا خطا جديدا في كل من القاهرة وأديس أبابا.
شكرا جزيلا تتبليون جمهورية جنوب السودان ونينا مقصودين شديد على سادوا ورهيل في يوغندا ولتنفيذ العلاقات بين الدولتين والتأكيد على أساس يوغندا وجنوب السودان وهم عنده تعاون مستمر زي ما هو من تعاون بعيدة، وعاوزين نأكدوا للشعب في يوغندا وكاسا الجنوبيين الموجودين في يوغندا على أساس طياركم موجودة تداي وقت لازم تركبوا فيه، وده مسؤولية على أساس الجروجكم لازم نرجعوا عشان ينقل الناس شعب بين الدولتين، وعاوزين نوري للدولة بتاعنا على أساس بعد استقلالنا لازم نشارك بكل مجالات على أساس بعد ناس بقى دولة وبقينا دولة جمهورية جنوب السودان، معناها لازم نمثل في جو زي ما نمثله في تيت. ده تأكيد على أساس أن نربط لكل دول مجورة يوغندا، كينيا، السودان، هاديس، كيرا، دبي، لأي دولة بجينا لازم طياراتكم يمشي فوقه عشان يقارن الآثار المكفضة ويمثل جنوب السودان على أساس برضه جنوب السودان يعني في جو موجودة، هو بقى دولة وعنده علم بتاعه وعنده طيارته وممكن يعمل تسهيلات ويسارق على أساس يعمل خدمات. إننا مقصودين شديد على أساس ونذكر حكومة بتاع يوغندا بعد وزير المواصلات بحضور بتاعه ويستقبله واستعداد حقه لجنوب السودان. كنينا إن شاء الله هنتعاون ونستمر لكل دول المجورة على أساس نأكدوا جنوب السودان بقى عنده طيارته وممكن يسارقوا عشان يساعد الناس.
عدد من أبناء جنوب السودان في الداخل والخارج عبروا عن سعادتهم بتدشين الشركة لرحلاتها للقارة الإفريقية ودول الجوار.
Airlines coming into Uganda is a testament that we are actually one people. It is cementing our relationship in terms of the trade, our relationship in terms of the coexistence.